mean, this deck is just so random. What's happening, YouTube? It's your homie S. Dot coming back to you with another deck profile, and today's profile for this deck is so random. So random. Like, I'm making a big deal about it because there are 6 cards in this deck I really wanted to make maximum use of, and this is sincerely the first deck I have built on my own with no help from anyone. And the help is always good, don't get me wrong. Like, I usually bounce ideas off of people and like, oh man, that's a good idea, I got an idea for this, I like this deck, but I'm gonna switch this character. I mean, some ideas have been my own, but like this is like sincerely my own creation. Let's jump right into the deck list. Alright guys, so as you can see, probably the most randomest group of characters you'll see together, but they fit. Of course, you know, Titan Master's attack, the body modes have to have a head, so we have 2 heads here, and we have the Autobot Gears Sabotage. So there are a couple of different angles why I wanted to build this deck. So let's talk about the character first that has that needs the least explaining. We have Fangry here. Normally you see, I've seen most decks play Fangry with Parsect. I'm not gonna say I don't like Parsect, but honestly, the #1 reason why I'm not using Parsect here is because of the WTC ruling that allowed for a character that is one faction but has a head of a different faction becomes both factions. So you heard that right. So if you have a Parsect on Fangry, when your opponent plays Magnetic Dysfunction Ray, your Fangry will also take 2, when normally your Fangry should just take 1. So there are a couple of perks to it, and there are a couple of downsides to that as well. So that being the sole reason is plus I also have 2 other Autobots. So when the inevitable mag ray does come down, it already sucks that 2 of my bots are taking damage, but at least Fangry won't be so phased by it. Now, of course, the only mode we're going to be using is his alt mode, where he's a 4-11-2. Now, he's a 4-11-2 in both modes, but in his alt mode, when you attack a character that has more stars than him, he has bold 2, which is really cool. So this is a kind of a mixed deck, but it is still slanted orange, so you want to hopefully get you want to at least get 7 or 8 attack out of him. Anything that you get that's higher than that is just icing on the cake. And that'll be it for Fangry. I mean, well, I will say, first turn of the game, if you do start the game, you'll definitely flip Perceptor, and we'll get to him obviously in a second, but you'll usually be leading with Fangry. The thing is when your other characters become tapped, depending on who they focus on, if they don't focus on the Fangry and get rid of the Fangry before we all stand back up, if the Fangry is able to live through another attack, we're so deep into the game by the time a real turn comes. We're talking about we're talking about potentially 6 turns, assuming that both decks are 3 wide, where we go tap, 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 and same on your opponent's side, to where if we stand back up, I might have a stronger hit with him, because on the first turn of the game, he's only attacking with his bow 2. But if I can get a grenade or something on him later in the game, he can be hitting for even more and definitely potentially KO some bots. Next up, we have Autobot. Well, actually, he's probably the favorite for me in this deck. Now, Perceptor obviously is very strong, one of the best bots absolutely in the set. Shout out to Dan Arnold, our Energon Invitational winner. This is still my proxy. I did order one a bit ago, and unfortunately never got it in the mail. So I have my friend Fred Kong, shout out to the Malaysia crew. He's actually going to send me a Perceptor, so that's pretty cool for him to look out for me and send me that Perceptor. My new one will be coming in soon. Again, shout out to Fred, I appreciate that. Of course, Perceptor is just insane. He is going to be the character that you use all your flip density on. He has the Briscoe head. Briscoe head is 2 stars. By the way, the Kreb head, if you didn't know, Kreb head is 2-star, or 1-star rather, and then he has 2 attack, 2 health, and 0 defense. So going back talking about Fangry with the Kreb head, this also is susceptible to burn like Javelin and Cayman Crash, which are 2 also big cards as well, played in this set. But at least you don't just die to hovercraft or tripwire, scouting mission, etc. So yeah, so getting back to Briscoe. Briscoe is the 2-star head that gives you 3 health, and I wasn't able to play Grax. I'm not playing Grax because I'm playing the stratagem, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But yeah, so that's the idea behind that. And Perceptor, when you flip him to his alt mode, you reveal the top 4 cards of your deck, and then you are able to put them in piles. So what that means is 0's a pile. First of all, you put piles into 0, 4, 1, 3, or 2 and 2. As the opponent, and then myself, I pick which one of those piles I want to take into my hand, and then the other 2 cards go under Perceptor. And his bot mode, what that says is simply this has +1 for each card under him. So I've gotten to points where I've had 8, 9, 10 cards under him. I've seen some players have 15 cards under Perceptor. I don't know why the game has lasted that long when Perceptor's at 18 base health, or 18 base attack, but okay. Card's insane. It's weak. It has a weak defense, but I mean, there are cards in this deck. Definitely, there are a lot of more armors in this deck than normal. to be able to put on him and for his survivability. And plus, he does have 15 health, so it's going to take a while for you to take him down. And then last but not least, the star, well, I don't want to say the star, one of the other stars of this deck is Autobot Gears. Now, Autobot Gears is a character that when we first saw it revealed, especially with his stratagem, we were like, oh man, okay, this would be really cool to implement into the side deck. I don't know about main deck play because, you know, it just seems like something that's better side deck against combo, against this deck, against that deck. But with the cards I'm going to show you in the deck, which might not be that big of a deal, but it might have some relevance. I really wanted to play Gears a lot because of his trait. And then on top of that, his stratagem. What his stratagem does is, while you have Autobot Gears Transporter Reconnaissance on the battlefield, enemies being upgraded can't cause abilities from your opponent's cards to trigger. Then I also thought about horrible decks, because against horrible decks, any upgrade they play will not trigger their horrible's effect. Now, of course, their action still will, but the whole point was to kind of take away half their turn. So if every time they play a black upgrade, it won't cause their cards to trigger, I think that's important enough to potentially slow the horrible deck down to only be able to have half of their turn to be able to do for burn. So whatever action they play has to be a pretty good action for that turn and get as much value as they can out of it, because essentially it's shutting off a piece of their turn. And one of the reasons why you play that deck in the first place, you know, when they play, you know, Bash and Shield. Bash and Shield is also another really important aspect to why I like Sabotage in this deck, because Bash and Shield and Enforcement Batons, if it's still being played, are two cards that you will not be able to use to scrap, you know, any of my armor. So I'm playing cards like Increased Durability and Sturdy Armor in here. So just the idea sounds really good. I'm just worried about performance. And again, one of the other reasons I want to play this team as a whole, how it is all kind of all over the place, is because of these 6 cards. And something to talk about Sabotage, it stops Field Communicator. This card stops Armed Hovercraft. This stops Extra Padding. This stops Bashing Shield, stops Enforcement Batons. It actually shuts off so many cards that I think it actually has some definite value in this format. So look into trying to fit Sabotage in your deck. There was a deck that one of my favorite decks, probably if not my number one favorite deck this format, which I'll be doing a deck profile for soon here, maybe next week. The Perceptor Sky Shadow deck is looking to be able to fit the Gears and the Sabotage into the deck against like combo or against horrible decks. Well, I don't know about horrible Sky Shadow, but the idea was to be able to take out the tank and the Sky Shadow Sync for Autobot Gears and the Sabotage. Now you want to do that because the I play the orange version of the Perceptor Sky Shadow deck, so that would make more sense to take out the tank and the sync, because you know, the plane obviously is the harder hitter. And I've been talking about it long enough. Let's jump right into the deck list itself. Psych, can't do that, my bad. We actually need to talk about Autobot Gears himself. I just big up his Sabotage, the stratagem, which is actually pretty cool, by the way. His stratagem is a Decepticon stratagem. I guess in the lore, he was controlled at one point by who, I don't know, but that was pretty cool, because it's actually a Decepticon stratagem. It doesn't make him a Decepticon, but that's still pretty cool. So whoever caught that in the beginning, kudos to you. Now, he is a 4-10-2 in his alt mode. And when you flip to this mode, you may move an upgrade to another enemy. And in his bot mode, he's a 3-10-3. And when you flip to this mode, return an upgrade on an enemy to the owner's hand. So this card literally in the later game is just a mini disarm. You just bounce off one card. So the utility slot that's so illustrious and so hard to get to, you can just easily bounce their energy back, bounce their toolbox back, bounce whatever, and force them to have to play it again on the next turn. Bounce their upgrade back and get, you know, swinging. Now you really won't use that effect as often. It depends on what part of the game it's in. There might be situations where you want to keep Perceptor and the mode he's in for whatever reason, and then you will be able to use the Gears effect. And the thing is, it's free. Like, it's totally free to be able to do that. And then he has one more defense in his mode as well. But this time, without further ado, let's get into the deck list. Alright guys, so jump right into the deck list. Let's talk about the battle cards. Of course, we got Piece of Tyranny, one of the most powerful cards in the deck, and honestly, probably the only card that's gotten better with every wave. I don't know of any other battle card off the top of my head that literally got better and stronger and just more insane with every wave. This card is miles ahead of Security Checkpoint in terms of getting better. Security Checkpoint is always a steady good, if that makes sense. It's always great to be able to play it and hopefully hit upgrades out of your opponent's hand. But a pilot, the player that pilots this card to be able to Piece the Tyranny at the correct time and get like potentially, you know, an attack or two on, you know, all your opponent's attack characters and be able to untap and like get another attack. Or if we're on a wheel turn and my one guy's about to die, I might Piece the Tyranny him, and then yes, I get 2 attacks on my guys and I'll be tapped out now. But if I can get a KO on their best guy and just really take control of the game, that might be really good as well. So this is the only card in the game that sincerely had gotten power crept itself into this getting stronger and stronger and stronger every set. Back in wave 3, we had the Battle Battle Masters revealed, where we had cards like Lionizer and who else? I think Lionizer is like the benchmark, and Fire Drive, of course. So when your Fire Drive or Lionizer was about to die, what was interesting about them is you didn't really want to kill them because you didn't want to give them the weapon. Well, that's what the thought was anyway. I think there came to a point where you had to understand where you need to kill the character, unfortunately, and hopefully you just can take the hit because you didn't want them to piece through Tyranny. Because when they were able to piece through Tyranny, they were able to turn that Battle Master into a weapon and then use it to kill, attack your character, and then depending on if, again, they attacked all your untapped characters, they get to untap, blah, blah, blah. The Titan Masters, when you piece through Tyranny a guy, you get a whole nother turn essentially because you have a whole nother character. Yes, that character is small and may not do much, but the entire point of the mechanics of how this card works with Titan Masters is just insane. And being that we're nowhere near set rotation anytime soon, and maybe not even next year, I can definitely see people being pissed off about this card more often than they've ever had before. So, great piece of Tyranny. Next up, we have a 3-fiber position. This card is on color for what we're trying to do. We're trying to stay aggressive. It's an orange-black icon card that's pretty much supercharged, but it just traded the bold, one bold for the black icon, so at least on defense you're hitting it and you're getting some type of damage in against blue decks. Next up, we have the 3 cards, finally. I've been talking about it, well, 6 cards. I've been talking about it this entire time. The 6 cards that made me want to play this deck are these. Ever since we saw wedge formation, I'm like, okay, that's cool. Most decks I build can't really cater to all 3. That makes sense. That's efficient enough. So we're just going to at least play for 2 of the effects. A lot of times it's for the melee and the ranged effect. Rarely it's for the specialist effect. So with that being said, Autobot Gears is a specialist in both modes. So we finally got a specialist that's, I wish he had a little bit more health, but of course I'm always wishing characters were better than what they already are. Those turns where your opponent, you 2 actions, 2 upgrades, or they may give you improvised shield and the good card out of the pile that they really don't want you to have. So it's like, if you're gonna take that good card, you're also gonna take the pile with the improvised shield for the 2 and 2. So it's like when you do take those improvised shields, or you do draw them for your turn, like I do so notoriously, you can get maximum use out of wedge formation by, of course it's a green, so you can grab it whenever you need to, but you can play this card and heal 1 off Fangry, draw 1 because you have Perceptor in body mode because he's ranged there, and Gears is specialist in both modes, so you can stack. It's kind of like a mini secret dealings, if you will. So just getting more efficiency out of your icons. Now, with saying that, I probably gassed that up and made it sound better than what it really is. I don't know how important that is, so that's why I just have to test this random ass deck and see if that even matters. And then on top of that, in that same sense, Master Metallicato. When I saw this card, I'm thinking, man, I want to try to get use out of all 3 factions: range, melee, and specialist. So again, and on top of that, they gave the orange icon to specialist. So I'm like, man, there's no specialist deck I want to play besides maybe Springer that would play this card. Specialist is the least played faction in the game, so given that the orange icon made sense, it kind of gives you an incentive to want to find ways to play specialist in a potentially aggressive deck. But not only that, of course, we have the black icon for Perceptor. So Perceptor kind of doesn't care because hopefully his attack is like respectable enough anyway to where you flip it, it's just a blank. But I mean, or I'd say that back, it's not a blank. It does get the pierce, but it'll be kind of just whatever. That's the theory on that. And then Fangry, every now and then Fangry will randomly defend with it. And also Fangry, this is one of Fangry's favorite friends in this deck, because since he has Bolt 2, if I have a Master Metallicato in my hand and I'm attacking an enemy that has more stars than me, since the Fangry has Bolt 2, I can potentially hit all 5 colors. There are 5 colors, of course, in the game: orange, black, blue, green, and white. So if I hit all 5 colors, that's plus 5 attack just for playing this card. So my Fangry's at 9, plus all the oranges I actually did flip. And then again, like I said, he has the blue for the melee, so every once in a while, randomly on defense, I will flip it. Fangry is actually pretty sturdy. It kind of doesn't seem like it is, but I mean, 2 defense with 11 health. Like Barrage had 1 defense, and he seemed a little easier to kill. But again, that power of 1 is insane. That extra defense is crazy. And then not on top of that, he also has the Krebs head, so he has 13 health. So you actually might have to sink 2 or 3 attacks into this guy. And if you're focusing on him, that means you're not focusing on my other characters. And then, the Krebs head can pop off, and then that gives me another turn to play around where Perceptor flips. And I mean, this sounds really good in theory. I don't know how to perform, but that's the idea literally behind this deck. The sole purpose was to try to get maximum use out of these cards and not just cater to 1 or 2 of the card, or just for its colors like Maximus, etc. Also, something to note about these cards is, as soon as you play Master Metallic, well, this card really specifically, as soon as you play Master Metallicado and you flip a wedge formation or you flip another Master Metallicado, you easily get at least +3 attack, which is really good. So if you flip another wedge if you flip wedge formation and then a one of the blues in the deck, that's +4 attack, so that's reckless charge. If you happen to flip a white and you again hit all 5, you easily get that +5 attack. That just seems crazy to me. In theory, in testing, we'll see how it goes, but yeah. Next up, we have 2 Camion Crash. Camion Crash is a card like it's included just about all of my decks, at least as a 1-of, but definitely at least a 2-of in this deck. Definitely great, you know, use of or the new one-shot stand, one-shot fall. Not saying one-shot stand, one-shot fall is not good anymore, but, you know, dealing 1 damage to one of your characters, it's an Energon Axe enabler. You know what I mean? You're dealing 1 to you and then 2 to your guy, so like one-shot was 3 and 3. So, and it has a black icon, so this card is definitely very good. One of my other favorite cards in the set. Killing characters outside of battle, killing Titan Masters outside of battle, and then also getting rid of, you know, the head that comes with it. It's really good. When the Titan attacks, like, so your opponent might try to hide one of their other characters or whatever, and let's say you kill a body, and then Parsec comes out, or Kreb comes out, and they, you know, lead with the Kreb to still protect their other characters, and just any other time you have to waste an attack into that character. But then with Camion Crash, you just get rid of it, and then now you can go tee off on whoever you felt like. Next up, we have 2 Showing Off. Now, 2 Showing Off, you're probably wondering, you look at the deck list, and, you know, I start with my 3-ofs a lot of the time, and it's like, man, where the Showing Offs at? It's actually a 2-of. Now, first of all, this deck is 41 cards. Don't care about the 41st card, so don't have me try to cut the 40. You should be playing 40. Math, blah, don't want to hear it. Well, they're here for a couple of reasons. I've found in a lot of games that I've played where Perceptor is the only character that needs to flip, which he kind of usually always should be, but just in my personal testing, that I see Showing Off way too often when it's down to the wire, when I have just the head, when it's head versus head. And like, I swear to you, I don't know how many times I can count, like, the next turn I draw after I only have a head left, Briscoe, let's say, I draw Showing Off. And it is one of the most annoying things ever. First, and then on top of that, I'm also playing 41. And before any math gurus come in here and tell me about the math, I don't care about the math. It doesn't matter, especially at how deep this deck digs for cards. The 41st card ain't gonna kill nobody. I just could not fit a third one of these based off of everything else I wanted to fit. Like the third Camion Crash may be able to be it. But one of the other reasons is because it is a blank icon, it does not help for Master Metallicado. Now, yes, Master Metallicado is not a green. Yes, I'm probably only gonna play it once per game, maybe twice per game. But at the same time, when I do, I want to get efficient use out of it, and it just doesn't help. All the flip density is still gonna be on Perceptor anyway. He should be able to get to a respectable enough attack where I don't always have to play this. And besides, it's not like every time I see Showing Off my hand, it's the card I'm always gonna play. I have a plethora of other cards in this deck to potentially play for my turn. You know, I don't play Brainstorm or anything in here like that anyway, but again, in my testing, the 2 did not like mean like, oh man, I wish I had a third because I didn't get the flip-flop Perceptor 1,000 times. So just 2 Showing Off. Next up, we have 2-2-ofs, 2 of the best cards in the set, and also 2 of my favorite cards in the game, period, Belligerence and In Hostilities. So this isn't necessarily a mixed deck. It is lower on the blues. I think there's 9 total blues. If you really want to count Master Metallicado is blue for Fangry, sure, but otherwise it's technically 6. But either way, Belligerence will turn all your blues into oranges, and against blue decks I still believe will have a certain resurgence in this meta. So you know, being able to blunt all their blues and whatever their base defense is, their base defense is always good. And then of course against aggro matchups or even other blue matchups, you can set your In Hostilities and turn all your oranges, which the majority of your deck is, into blues. I've always definitely consider trying to play these cards in a lot of decks this format, and because I know I think it's very powerful that we've seen mixed decks in the past that have played, well, obviously, every mixed colors, and this just amplifies that because it makes you better on your attacks and your defense, whenever you need them to be. So mixed decks definitely is something that WTC was always trying to push, and these just amplify given the consideration to want to play those kind of decks. Then for last but not least, we have one Hold the Line. Hold the Line in aggressive decks is something that I definitely value. Now, I think this is a card you can easily side out for counter espionage, another card I'm not main decking in an aggressive deck, even though it should be. Now that's a card I might prove to definitely be like, damn, I wish I had counter espionage, so I might have to try my best to find room. But Hold the Line is definitely good against me expecting, if I were going to a tournament this weekend, I would expect more orange decks than blue decks. So I would just side deck the counter espionage and then side out the Hold the Line for the counter espionage against those secret action dot decks. And that's it for the actions. It's 21 actions, and for our 20 upgrades, we have our 3 grenade launcher. Literally not going to say much more than that. Boom, grenade launcher. And then we have, okay, so our 2-ofs, we have 2 Sturdy Javelin and 2 Power Punch. Now, the reason for Power Punch, again, is because of cards like Master Metallicado. But not only that, Belligerent. So the Power Punch, I wanted a card that gave me the most oomph for my bold. Now, granted, yes, against end hostilities, it sucks. But to be honest with you, if I'm playing against a blue deck, I'm probably not going to play Fight for Position or Power Punch that turn. Even if I literally just have to hold it, it's better to hold your bold card. If you suspect that it's probably in hostilities, you know, I mean, sometimes I'm not gonna say I've never ran into it with my Fight for Position or my bold / card, but you know, a lot of times I may not even play this that turn if they do have a secret action set, if I can afford not to. And if it is in hostilities, well, at least I won't lose my Power Punch with it. But Power Punch serves a couple of roles. You can play this with Belligerence, turn all your blues into oranges. You can also play this, like, so when your Fangry attacks, your Fangry, that orange, that blue that's for melee, that counts for him, now becomes orange, and among everything else. And then also playing this with Master Metallicado helps you get those, you know, close to as many colors, different colors as you can, up to the maximum of 5 in order to hit for your, you know, to get the maximum number of attack. And then also, of course, it's orange and it's on color for what we're trying to do, be aggressive. Sturdy Javelin is a card that's unfortunate that I can't play 3 of in here, since Gears is a specialist in both modes, and then Perceptor is specialist, or excuse me, ranged only when he is in his body mode, which you're going to be attacking with most of the time anyway. And then you have Fangry as well. Fangry can use this as a +2 weapon, but I still needed to burn in the deck for when Perceptor does attack, or if Fangry didn't need it, making him up to 6 attack is definitely nothing to shy at. And last but not least, for our rest of our weapons, we have 1 Scoundrels and 1 Nobles Blaster. Now, these cards are pretty cool in this deck and very diverse because, so your Kreb can only hold Scoundrels Blaster. Autobot Gears can obviously only hold Nobles Blaster, but your main guy of the deck, Perceptor, can hold both. So I have 1 of each just to kind of diversify and get them when I need them if I happen to not find another weapon, which is kind of hard to do when you have Perceptor digging as much as he does. And for our armors, now this is another interesting thing about this deck. If you look at my weapons, I only have 9 weapons. I mean, so used to having like 11, 12 weapons, but I actually have 8 armors. And I don't know if that's right or wrong, but the reason why, after you see them, let's go 3 Improvised Shield, 2 Bashing Shield, 1 Sturdy Armor, 1 Hollow Matter Projector, and 1 Increased Durability. For the simple fact that your opponent cannot Bashing Shield away your armors, I value these a little higher right now. Now, again, this count is kind of high. There is potential I probably should even be playing a Ghost Shield in here since I have so many armors, so I have the ability to protect them. That's something to look like. This increased durability could potentially be a Ghost Shield, so that's something I actually may do. And the Ghost Shield actually ups my orange count some more. So then the more and more I think about it, I actually might test Ghost Shield and see, like, you know, if it matters or not. But putting the energy pack on that your opponent cannot Bashing Shield is really good. Bashing Shield is one of the most universal cards to play in the orange deck. Yes, Disassemble still gets rid of it. Yes, Reprocess still gets rid of it because you know, those are actions that are getting rid of an upgrade, not an upgrade getting rid of an upgrade. But still, Bashing is the most universal, it's easiest, and then it's so good to just put that on your opponent's card and you know, on your opponent's character, just get rid of your armor, and it just sucks. So this sturdy armor has a lot more use in this deck because you don't have to. Sometimes there's awkward situations where it's like, damn, I want to play this sturdy armor on Perceptor, but I can't because he's already in bot mode, and I want to attack in bot mode, so I'm not going to be able to put this on him. But you can just easily go put this on your Gears, and then Gears will have 3 defense, and then attacking against a ranged character, he'll have 4 defense. So there's that. And Hollow Matter Projector is a one of in a lot of my decks right now with the bold deck, or not bold deck, burn decks and burn cards. Burn has been better than it's ever been before. Precision Fire, Mag Ray, Camion Crash, we have Sturdy Javelin, still Arm Hovercraft, list goes on and on. Yeah, Hollow Matter Projector is definitely a card I can see. Oh, Sky Shadow when he comes out, you know, the big guy. Definitely having this on one of your characters to blunt that is very good. Against horrible decks, I'll definitely love this card because the only card that they have an out to get rid of this is Disassemble. Yes, it's a green, but they have to get it. So depending on where it is in their deck, depending on how they burn their turn about playing it, they definitely may have a hard time getting rid of this. And then game 2 and 3, I imagine I'd be siding probably into 2 more Hollow Matter Projector. So they only have 1 Disassemble potentially to my 2 or 3 Hollow Matter Projectors. So there's that. And then last but not least, for the upgrades, a card that I've always loved and I just never really got a whole bunch of play out of. We have 2 Field Communicator and then 1 Enhanced Power Cell. Enhanced Power Cell doesn't need a whole bunch of explaining, but the 2 Field Communicator, so the thing with this card is it's on color for helping in terms of facilitating more whites into the deck for Master Metallicado. And it's just I have 2 specialists in the deck now. So I have a specialist in the Perceptor, and I have a specialist obviously in both modes in the gears. And being able to facilitate potentially a card off the top of your deck to play in addition, like if you don't have anything else better to do, especially for your turn, this card was always good to help kind of get that extra mile out of your deck to randomly play cards off the top that you would have otherwise flipped for your attack value. So there are 5 whites in the deck. This was the card I was thinking about cutting one to be at 40, but then I was like, I really don't care if I'm playing 40 anyway, so I'm not going to stress about it and just test this random ass deck. So expect some videos of the past couple of decks. I've been doing deck profiles over the past week or so now. I want to actually start doing a series where I do a deck profile for a deck on Monday, and then you at least get to see 1 or 2 games with that deck throughout the week. And once I get on track and get that in order, I will start doing that as is. But for now, I'm just throwing videos to you how I get them ideas in my head, and that's really it. So guys, as usual, I appreciate you guys being here with me for this deck profile. You guys know what it is. If you like this video, give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel because I got a whole bunch more coming for you. I got collaborations coming. I got more comp camps coming for you. I got a lot of stuff coming. So throughout the coming weeks, definitely guys, keep you guys busy with my random deck profiles. I know I wanted to get out of my comfort zone a little bit with my deck profiles. A lot of them are usually sound and concrete, and I'm confident in most of them. It's like, yeah, I like this deck a lot. This one is just sincerely super random and off the top because of what I was trying to do with those 6 cards, Master Metallicado and the Wedge Formation. So with that, you guys have a great day and or night whenever you get to this video. This is your homie S. and that's TF heading out. Peace. Warrior.